Assalamu alaikum. You're watching Views and News, and I'm Faisal Rehman live from our Islamabad studios. Today we'll be talking about the impact of this coronavirus on Pakistan. As we all know, that the economy of Pakistan was already under a lot of pressure, though the government measures, they've been proven to be pretty correct regarding the import as well as regarding the export. Yesterday there was this announcement that the State Bank of Pakistan has cut down 75 basis points, and now the interest rate is at 12.50%. So, but a lot of people were expecting that should have been further down by, to close to somewhere like 11 or maybe 10.5%. But let's see what sort of an impact it is going to have on the inflation side. Obviously, when we talk about the growth, still at a halt, around 2.2 to 2.5% is the expected growth rate. Good news is that textile exports have surged by 17% during the last couple of months, and that is a very positive sign. Obviously, a lot of products are not being imported from China, so there are certain markets where you can capitalize. When you talk about the overall economic situation, it's not that strong, and this is not me who is saying it, this is the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Imran Khan, has said. Other than that, now there are reports that because of this coronavirus, the way it is sort of penetrating inside Pakistan, a lot of major cities could be under lockdown. The government has actually considering this option. But having said that, they are not yet sure what to do. I would say the great initiative was taken by the government of Sindh, where Murad Ali Shah played a very leading role. He, in fact, led from the front, and certain strict measures were in place in the province of Sindh. Today there was a meeting held in KPK and also in Punjab. Yesterday there was a meeting in Balochistan where the chief ministers, they were primarily were being briefed about the overall situation. Taftan is another problem. A lot of pilgrims are coming from Iran inside Pakistan, and primarily the major outbreak was because of that, not from the Chinese side. But still, currently around 250, a little under 250 people have been tested positive, and I'm sure the number will increase as we talk, as we speak within the next coming days. But how to sort of put a check? Obviously, you need to take certain measures like washing your hands, staying away, no public gatherings, self-quarantine. I guess that is also something very important. Now, we've also learned that certain offices, certain departments, they have said that people who are coming on Monday will now come on Wednesday, and those who are coming on Tuesday will come on Thursday. So alternate day of work, and most people are working from home also. So something important. Now, obviously, the IMF has to mobilize around $1 trillion to fight coronavirus. At the same time, the global oil prices, they have also gone down, hovering around $27, $28 a barrel. Now, primarily countries like Pakistan could benefit from them because we are an oil importing country primarily. But let's see where it leads. To talk about this, we have with us in our studio, let me introduce you to our panelists. On my right is Dr. Usman Mustafa Saab, who's a senior economist. Sir, Mustafa Saab, thank you very much for taking out the time. And we have with us Abdul Yusuf Saab, needs no introduction, as the former chairman FBR. So thank you very much. And we have with us Dr. Manzoor Ahmed, who is a former ambassador to World Trade Organization. Thank you very much, sir. Now, Dr. Usman Mustafa Saab, since we are talking about the global impact, a lot of countries are facing a lot of problems. And I'm not talking about only China. Look at what is happening in France, Italy, UK, Spain, USA, you name it, it's all over. It's a global, it's a pandemic now. And obviously certain measures like $1 trillion IMF is supposed to inject to take care of this kind of an issue. Now, so first of all, regarding Pakistan, since it's a smaller economy, we're not a larger player in the global economy. But sir, when you look at our capital markets or otherwise, we are getting the hit as well. Your take.
Yeah, I think there is no doubt that there will be a lot of negative impact on the growth rate as well as on the economy, because when you have there is a loss in the production, and definitely the consumption will be affected also, and there is a supply side also affected because we are closing number of institution places. That's have a negative impact, of course, on the growth. Even the Asian Development Bank recently estimated that there will be a 0.01% to 1.5% GDP loss due to this, particularly in Pakistan, and that's about the estimation is 16.387 million to 4.95 billion US dollars, and that's a huge amount. There is some other, particularly there is one more thing is the impact of that in the production of, like we have the cars. Pakistan is not, but the demand for car, from the appliance, and like that type of item will be reduced. There is no doubt about that. That will, even the world.
It's already at a decline, sir.
Yeah, already declined, but this will be further decline, because people will not invest in that situation. When there is a panic type of thing in any way, the people don't want to invest. The government should take care of, particularly with the supply side of a food item and other things, because everybody like to have, like you have seen the impact on medicine and other things. Within few week and within few days, the prices is double and triple. So there should be a check and balance about this from the government side, and also the food side. We don't have a problem with the food supply. We have enough food, wheat flour, as well as other items. So there is a check, particularly from the government side, that there should not be a low. The people like
those who are hoarding should be put in place.
Should be
also.
definitely put in place.
That is the key, because
I think that's very important.
It's the demand and supply, and whenever you sort of create a problem in the supply side, you will see that.
Yeah, but that's normally whenever you see when we have a positive growth, it has a multiplier effect. Same thing when we have a curtain in the growth, because we have almost 1.5 maximum, and hope that it will be retained and the problem will not continue. If it will continue, definitely we are already have a shortage of money and resources, particularly, and the good thing is IMF has already promised that the extra expenditure will not be counted in the payment, so that will be delayed, or somewhere some might be we can get some recession or some type of aid or some type of favor from that also. No, because it's become an international phenomenon, so we have to fight with the. It's not like it was only earlier.
And you need to adopt all those measures taken by other countries
and
also.
I think the main thing is the precaution is better than cure.
Absolutely. Now, Abdullah Yusuf Sahab, talking about tourism for that matter, the kind of videos we receive, I mean, it's unbelievable that you don't see anybody at Heathrow Airport for that matter, or such major airports are either they have been shut down or there's very little traffic out there. Now, if you want to go out of Pakistan, you need to have a positive coronavirus result, I mean, a negative one. I mean, you have to have that, and it should be 24 hours. It shouldn't be more than 24 hours. So that means that whosoever is having a problem should be stopped there and then. So good measures in place. But Abdullah Yusuf, obviously when you talk about containing the disease on one side, the economy is going to suffer for sure. And this is not only Pakistan, I'm sure the whole globe is facing this. But sir, currently it is believed that Pakistan, since major income of Pakistan goes in debt servicing, defense budget, and primarily when we say PSDP, that is also been, I mean, during the last report, we got to know that about 100 billion rupees would be slashed from that also. So you're looking at a major impact on your growth rate. Let's start off from the debt servicing. Do you think, sir, Pakistan is going to get some sort of a relief regarding that, sir?
You see, now the situation that we are having, it's unfortunate, and it's a global kind of a problem that we have suddenly actually come up with. And at the moment, we are also lacking on the, real reasons and cause and how and whatever actions required that are to be taken, etc. So it is definitely affecting economies globally, because now, for instance, China, which was the first country of this problem, they are actually having very serious issues of their exports, because they are not able to actually continue with those delivering to those countries where they were actually used to sending their goods.
The manufacturing process was at a halt, sir.
Yeah. So that is, a very, very major issue. And of course, that means that your economy is going to be impacted, because on one side you have your trade, which is your exports and of course imports, but then on the other side you have your resource management, management, collection and things like that. Now, we are going to, unfortunately, have these issues.
Abdullah
and
Sahab, we'll just
face
take a
these issues.
short break. There's some technical problem. We'll just take a short break, and after the break, sir, we'll start right from there. We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Passion for polo will be the highest on the world's highest polo ground. Shandur invites visitors to experience a traditional polo tournament between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The tournament is held on Shandur Pass, the highest polo ground in the world, at 3,700 meters above sea level. The first time a polo tournament took place on the Shandur Pass was in 1936. It is a place unique and exotic in itself, surrounded by some of the most spectacular mountain scenery in the world. The event marks the annual rivalry between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The polo tournament has some added attraction.
Welcome back after the break. Ji Abdullah Sahab.
Yeah, I was just actually explaining that the issue of the economies because of this coronavirus is unfortunately having that negative impact on throughout the world, actually all the countries concerned, and Pakistan certainly is also having and going to have that negative impact, unfortunately, and we will have to see whatever is possible to try and deliver. There is a slight advantage, I would say, in a way, that when China has actually lost some of its market, we have managed some of that, and our exports have actually increased somewhat.
Yes.
And that is the
in textile
advantage.
in particular.
In textile particularly. So that is a little advantage also that we are having. But overall, things are obviously challenging and not that simple and easy to handle. And it will also take time. And we have to.
So it is going to be a slow process, and you see the growth rate really falling down now, sir.
Yeah, that obviously is going to impact your growth rate, and that we are actually seeing that there is, of course, this visualization or report that you are going to actually reduce the growth rate. As Dr. Saab said, about 1.59%.
Maximum 0.01.
Just imagine.
Yeah.
So this is going to be an absolute disaster, sorry to say,
Yeah,
sir.
this is a big unfortunate.
This is going to be problem. Now, Dr. Saab, 2-3 points. Over here, sir, the State Bank of Pakistan, they announced their monetary policy, and they said that they'll be bringing the interest rate down to 12.5%, which is still very, very high, sir. And the overall cut was only 75 basis points. You think that was enough, or you were expecting a little more to happen, sir?
I think almost everyone expected a little more, because you look around the world, US, UK, they all reduced, they almost brought
UK
it
from 0.75 to 0.25,
almost
in
they
USA
become
0%.
Zero. And even otherwise, even if this impact of coronavirus was not there, we were expecting 1 or 2% point less. And now with this, it should have been more because our economy is in a slump. And unless the interest rate or the fiscal policies are eased, we won't see any growth. And that's why you see this Moody's coming up that growth rate will come down further, 2.5 I think they say. Although State Bank still says 3.5 or something. But Moody's is 2.5.
We'll have to see the kind of impact coronavirus is going to have on our economy
Yeah,
in the coming weeks actually.
That will take a little while, but expectation is that it's going to fall. It was, we were not expected to do well anyway, but with this, I think it's going to get worse.
Now the government also says that they would be getting, or rather the target which has been set, I mean they have increased it by almost 1500 billion rupees for the tax collection. You think, sir, in certain circumstances which are prevailing at the moment around us, sir, look at the stock market, look at other businesses. I mean, everything seems to be at a halt, sir. Restaurants will be shut down. You hardly see people there, sir. One positive sign is about the petroleum prices, not in Pakistan, but overall. So the import bill is going to be of some benefit to the federal government because the levies and everything. They've also introduced 105% additional levies. Primarily, do you see, because fuel is the key, sir, when it comes to inflation, and even if it is increased by 2%, the impact is around 20% on the basic commodities. You believe, sir, in the coming days, this formula of keeping the interest rate higher to counter inflation is not going to be working well because it has really killed the growth. But having said that, sir, you also need to do a few more things. For example, that the supply chain should not be affected. Those who are into this hoarding business should be taken to task also, sir. Certain measures should be in place.
Yeah, but first, this point about fuel. I think they had the biggest fall in the last 30 years, 30% less. It's come down to less than
$28, yes.
$30. So it's the expected benefit for our economy because we are very highly dependent on imported fuel. We import something like 1/3 of our total, about 14, 15. So expected is about $4 to $5 billion. That's very.
But sir, the oil which we are importing from Saudi Arabia is already on deferred payments.
Doesn't matter.
So
but,
will it affect?
Yeah, but it's going to come less, and also no matter what the perception about LNG prices, this is also linked to oil. It's a percentage of that. So that's also going to come down. So the expected benefits would be around that. Maybe some would be in deferred, others this thing, but this would be there.
Plus, you can also sign new contracts on the current price, sir.
Sorry?
The new contracts on the current price?
On the current price.
Can you revisit every year your documentation?
Yes.
Okay.
What are you asking about LNG?
No, sir. All the contracts.
Oh, yeah. It's just that LNG is they take the last 3 months average and then accordingly.
Okay.
So you will see the LNG impact maybe from next month because they take the previous 3 months.
Okay, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
So you see, on a certain side, I mean, you'll be getting some sort of a benefit. But sir, talking about GSP plus, earlier Abdul Yusuf said that we also witnessed increase in our textile sector. But sir, again, the capacity seems to be the issue. Earlier, it was war against terrorism, and then we got to know, higher input prices, fuel prices as well, and then energy cost, that was pretty high as well. And you lost most of the market share, unfortunately. Now, if you've gotten a chance, do you think we'll be able to capitalize on that front, sir? You think we have enough capacity to deliver on time and the right product, sir?
Well, for the time being, I think, according to the newspapers, our importers from UK or elsewhere, they're asking us to slow down because their stores are not open, so they don't want to build up too much inventories. Mm-hmm. So for the time being, it's I think we can't really make use of any extra that, but perhaps it will ease up. It will improve over the next 1 or 2 months.
So blessing in disguise. I mean, if you really want to capitalize on certain accounts where you can get some benefit, you have to work hard. And on certain areas, you really need to be very, very vigilant to see if somebody is not doing the right sort of business.
We were earlier talking about that impact on China and more imports from Pakistan. But China did a great job, and now they're almost, there are no new cases there now, except for those coming from abroad. So So their production is getting back normal. Their flights, they used to be, at least domestic flights, which are 40%, have now grown up. So China is one country which has controlled very effectively because they took action very early on.
I mean, what a brilliant SOP. I would say that their SOPs were brilliant, and the way they adopted them, and I think we were not sure how they can manage 65 million people, sir, in certain area, and they were quarantined. Finally, that is what the result is.
In 1 week, they built the hospital.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Not only built, they were operational in 1 week.
Yes. And no, that's dismantled because there is no patient.
There is no patient. I mean, that's how you do it. But sir, now talking about the kind of money that is going to come in from the International Monetary Fund, $1 trillion, that's going to be a lot of money. But obviously, when it comes to the share of Pakistan, not sure how much money we will be getting, or will it be in the form of some relief? That is also
I think
possible.
one thing which we have already, IMF has promised that the expenditure which we have taken, we are spending on this particularly coronavirus, that will be not part of the installment we are paying. So that will be reduction from that. That's the one relief already they promise. Let me one more, the question you are asking about the policy rate. State bank policy. There is one more reason which I think is very important. One is because they have kept the everyone expecting that the interest rate will be reduced. That there is no question about that, because even the market rate is even almost 10%, where the market is prevailing, and the main reason is because we have the foreign investors, they have put the money in our banks, and that's one way of balance of payment. We are showing some foreign currency, hard currency, and if we suddenly reduce that, that will be wiped out, and that's one of the main reasons.
Hot money, as we call it.
Yeah, it's that's one of the main reasons they are not keeping their interest. No doubt the inflation is not linked. One of the argument is that it's related with the inflation, but the inflation is reduced much more than the interest rate.
But Dr. Usman, tell me how much money is actually there. I mean, should we call it hot money, sir?
Hard, yeah, I can say it's
an investment.
Investment, but that's any time whenever they want.
They can take it.
They
back.
can take it. Wipe out.
So I mean, if you lower the interest rate, obviously their profit margin
we have to be very, very serious, and we should be very considerable about reducing. There is no doubt we have to reduce. As you mentioned, there is a 0.5 or 0.5. Government statement also given a 7% interest rate for the investor, but still the investors are not coming. That's another with the policy rate. When they are saying that, they are saying we have giving 7% for the investors and that will be for 10 years. So that's a one way, another way is an attraction. But due to the situation and due to the environment and so many other things, still the investor, even the Europe and other countries, they are not going. So that also has a negative impact on Pakistan.
If your portfolio has that kind of a liquidity, I mean, you can just take it out whenever you want.
Yeah, that's the main problem with that. But that's all one issue of the balance of payment, and we have our reserves. So that's all one of side of that.
Now, Dr. Saab, for example, in the coming days, you hear that cities like Lahore or Karachi or Islamabad or Faisalabad or Sialkot, there are certain cities which are known for the production. There's Sialkot, Gujranwala, Faisalabad. What if you hear that there is a shutdown, there is a lockdown?
Yeah, that's...
So let's say even for 14 days,
yeah,
that's almost 4% of the total yearly time period. So tell me, sir, what sort of an impact is going to have?
Definitely, you see, when we are saying there is a production, there is an increase in growth, there's a positive impact, because that's a backward and forward linkages, because whenever producing anything, it's not the only that particular product is produced. So many things are linked. Like, yes. So when we are stopping one day or even one strike, I remember in one of your program, you remember that how much loss we have in one day strike.
One city.
Yes. So we have a lot. When we have in countrywide these type of movement and restriction, definitely there is a lot of losses, and that's why the Asian Development Bank estimated 1.59 GDP loss expected maximum, 0.01 to 1. And this is a huge amount of that.
So are you saying, Dr. Saab, that at some stage the word recession could be in place? Because if you are seeing this global economic meltdown, slow growth rate, a country like Pakistan, I mean, if they expect that 1.6% of our growth rate is going to fall down, where you already expect 2.5, I mean, you never know if this menace
know-
of corona continues for about a month or two, and the peak time doesn't come before May, for example. You could end up having, because your agriculture is already in a negative trend,
Yep.
sir.
And you already mentioned about, we have a positive sign in the recent months, some type of growth like exports. We are expecting, this government is specifically expecting that there will be more tourism. The UN report that there is a 3% reduction in the tourism, which is almost 50 billion loss in
A month.
A 50 billion loss, yeah,
Dollars
3%,
a month?
50 billion loss in the whole world economy. And as you mentioned,
Look at the airline industry, the way they are
exactly,
suffering.
there are a lot of industry which are shut down even. They have the Boeing
Lufthansa
rates,
is not operating their A380s.
The
There are
Boeing-
so many other, I mean, even airlines like
Yeah.
Emirates, Qatar Airways, like the top ones, they have really closed down their
because
operations.
the business is not at normal. When you have a normal business, everything is suffering. Even earlier there is a Boeing Airlines. They have a lot of advance. No, they have problem in the people don't want to purchase because there is no future. Near future is blank. So I think
They're the most popular plane, 737
and
MAX, I mean,
particularly
they've been grounded.
for Pakistan, we are expecting, we have a reduction in the terrorism, and ultimately the peace and the good signs are coming, and we expect that there will be a lot of tourism in Pakistan, but that definitely affect, nobody want to travel. In most of the countries they are advising, the problem with Italy specifically, because that is the hub of the tourism, and they have not
Deserted Rome, I mean, you can't even tell this is Rome.
Yeah.
There's hardly people
My
there.
son want to go there. He's lucky enough that he has not gone there. And we have seen lot of videos and documentation. Earlier they were saying, I know everybody is locked down, and now they are advising.
So we'll just take a break now, and after the break we'll return and we'll continue our discussion.
ہم نے بہتر سمجھا کہ وہ چائنا کیونکہ ایک چیز کا مقابلہ کر رہا ہے، وہ زیادہ واقف ہے تو وہ لوگ وہاں پر رہیں. شروع میں وہ طالب علم بیچارے پریشان بھی تھے، مگر اب جب میں گیا تو 15 یونیورسٹیز کے طالب علموں سے وہاں بات ہوئی. جو لوگ پہلے خفا تھے وہ بھی یہ سمجھتے تھے کہ بہت اچھا خیال کیا گیا، بڑا اچھی انداز سے ان کو جو افیکٹڈ تھے اور زیادہ تر جو ان افیکٹڈ تھے، جو آئسولیشن میں رہے، سب نے وہاں چائنیز گورنمنٹ کی بھی تعریف کی، اور پاکستان ایمبیسی کے 2 افراد ان کے ساتھ وہاں پر ووہان جا کر آئسولیٹ بھی ہو گئے. تو ان 2 کی بھی تعریف کی. تو لہٰذا میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ میں نے بھی پریزیڈنٹ شی سے اس بات کا شکریہ ادا کیا کہ انہوں نے چائنیز گورنمنٹ نے کتنا خیال کیا. تیسری بات میں یہ سمجھتا ہوں کہ وہاں پر کئی گھنٹوں کی ملاقات رہی پریزیڈنٹ شی صاحب کے ساتھ بھی، اور جو ان کی کانگریس کے صدر ہیں ان کے ساتھ بھی، اور پریمیئر صاحب کے ساتھ بھی. سب کے ساتھ الگ الگ ملاقاتیں بھی ہوئیں، اور سارا دن مسلسل ملاقاتوں میں گزرا. انہوں نے جو ہمیں آگہی دی، وہ جس انداز سے قوم کو انہوں نے تیار کیا اپنے ساتھ کام کرنے کے لیے، ایک والنٹیئر فورس بھی تیار ہوئی جس نے مدد کی. اس بات کا اہتمام کیا کہ لوگوں کی ضروریات ان تک پہنچتی رہیں. والنٹیئرز کے اعتبار سے میں سمجھتا ہوں پاکستانی قوم کو بھی تیار ہونا چاہیے. دیکھیں میرے دوستوں، جنگ ہماری ایک ہے اس وقت، اس میں سب کو اکٹھا ہو کر کام کرنا پڑے گا. آپ کو معلوم ہے جب پاکستان کسی جنگ کے اندر کبھی بھی گیا ہے تو ساری قوم اکٹھا ہو جاتی ہے، پھر یہ فرق نہیں رہتا کہ کس نے کیا کیا کس نے کیا کیا. اور وہی بات پریزیڈنٹ شی نے مجھ سے کہی کہ چائنا کی جو وکٹری ہے وہ یہ ہے کہ ساری قوم میرے ساتھ مل کر ہم نے مقابلہ کیا. تو میں پاکستانیوں سے درخواست یہ کرتا ہوں کہ ساری قوم اکٹھا ہو جائے. میڈیا سے درخواست کرتا ہوں کہ اس وقت جتنا وقت آپ کے پاس ہے اس میں لوگوں کی آگہی کریں، لوگوں کو بتائیں کہ کیا کرنا ہے. پاکستان کے اندر پینک کی کوئی ضرورت نہیں ہے. جو چیز ہے مقابلہ پینک میں نہیں ہوتا، گھبراہٹ میں نہیں ہوتا. جو چیز ہے اس کا مقابلہ ہم نے اور آپ نے اپنے اچھے انداز سے کرنا ہے. میری آج صبح سے بہت سارے علماء سے بھی ملاقات ہوئی، کیونکہ مسجد وہ سینٹر ہے جہاں سے اس بات کا پرچار ہوگا कि क्या क्या एहतियातें करनी है, और मीडिया वो जगह है जहाँ से इस बात का प्रचार हो। तो सारे चीफ मिनिस्टर से मेरी बात हुई, बहुत सारे और लोगों से भी मेरी बात हुई, गवर्नर से मेरी बात हुई, मैंने उनको ब्रीफिंग भी दी, और मैं ये महसूस करता था कि आप लोगों तक भी वो ब्रीफिंग आनी चाहिए। तो चाइना से जो मुतासर होकर मैं आया हूँ वो इसकी कौमी यकजहती के हवाले से मुतासर होकर आया कि वहाँ पर सब ने मिलकर काम किया। ये मैं अपील आपको करना चाहता हूँ कि पाकिस्तान में भी सब मिलकर इस बात का एहतमाम करें। तो जिन लोगों को बुखार हो या कुछ हो तो फ़ौरन मास्क की तरफ चले जाए। अच्छा, बाकी लोग एहतियात करें, बाकी लोग खांसते वक्त इसको कवर करें अपने हाथ, जहां हाथ लगाएं उनको हर घंटे में अगर हाथ सिर्फ साबुन से धोते रहें तो होगा ये कि आपसे ना आपको लगेगा ना दूसरों को, आप जिस चीज़ को छूते जाएंगे वो लगेगा। चेहरे को हाथ मत लगाइए, चेहरे को हाथ लगाने से पहले या तो ये कर लीजिए, कोई टिश्यू पकड़ लें जहाँ खुजली हो रही है उसको खुजला दें, क्योंकि हाथ से चेहरे पर जाएगा और हाथ से नाक और मुंह में जाएगा। ये बार बार मैं इस वजह से कहता हूँ, रोज़ाना कहूँगा, इसलिए कि मैं क्योंकि डॉक्टरी के पेशे से ताल्लुक़ रहा, सारी ज़िंदगी मेरी गुजरी है लोगों को एहतियातें सिखाते हुए, तो इसके अंदर भी लोगों को बार बार हम ये एहतियात सिखाएंगे। तो मैं समझता हूँ कि रोज़ाना कुछ ना कुछ आपसे बात होती रहेगी इस सिलसिले में। बड़े इन्फ्लुएंशियल लोगों को जिनकी बात लोग सुनते हैं उनसे भी मैं आज राब्ता कर रहा हूँ कि वो अपने दायरे कार के अंदर इस जंग की तैयारी करें। हर घर की, हर फर्द की ये जंग है कि उसने कोरोना वायरस को हराना है।
कोरोना
Welcome back after the break. Now, Abdul Yusuf, obviously we do understand the kind of impact it's going to have, and the things would be very much clear, let's say, within the next 2 to 4 weeks. Sir, the budget is going to be announced during the first week of June. You have got May and then you have April, 2 more months. I still remember, so I'll just give you a few examples. I remember our Prime Minister announced during the last budget that this is the benchmark for exports, and we'll be exporting, for example, talking about the software export. He said around $4 billion worth of export. I'm not sure what is the capacity, whether we've been able to even achieve 20% of that or 25%. That is going to be around 1 billion. I think even if we do that, that's a big, huge number. But certain times we set standards which are either we feel very over optimistic, or we keep this certain targets in our mind which cannot be achieved, sir, within the given circumstances. I mean, tell me, if this is the inflation, this is your interest rate, this is what the expected growth is, who is going to invest? Now that is $1 million question, because looking at the paper, looking at the digits, I mean, you decide. You yourself, you're an accountant, you understand how digits matter, sir. On paper, do you see something positive for us, sir? Or do you think this next budget is going to be very tight, even despite the effort of the government to give some sort of relief, they won't be able to?
You see, unfortunately, the present circumstances that we have of this coronavirus issue, that is certainly affecting us and the whole world. Now when we come to this budget matter, it is only a couple of months, away. It will basically depend that to what extent are we really having this clarity on this matter, that whether it is actually manageable, it's controlled, it should not affect our normal activities and so on, businesses, etc. And then we are going to be budgeting for next year.
Yes.
So if we are not going to be having that effect in next year, then of course it will of course be a normal routine matter and not having that kind of a negativity which we are having today. So, it is going to be, first point is that it is going to be dependent on how long we are going to actually take to know precisely where are we going to stand and how we are going to handle this very, very major issue. Then you come to the budget thing, you know, our budget basically has this two major components, I would say. One is your trade side and the other is your fiscal side, revenues, expenses,
Correct.
trade, imports, exports. Now, the whole economy is supposed to be moving based on your actual investment. And if you've got that investment coming, more investment coming, you are also going to be helping the growth of the economy. With the scenario and the situation that we have today, people are not going to have that confidence to actually go ahead and make their investments and things like that. And that would then of course have our problem of this growth of the economy. And the budget, we always try in the budget to actually project something bigger and better. But unfortunately, what we actually achieve,
It's much lesser than that, yeah.
if you look at the history since 1947, we fix a target of revenues, we revise it downward during the year, and then we don't even achieve that. That is the history. Fortunately, there is this 5-year period in between when I happened to be the chairman of FPR 2003 to 2008, that we fixed whatever target,
And you were able
we
to achieve
exceeded. And 1 year in between was when we revised it upwards, and that also was actually achieved.
What was the reason for that, sir? Was it the
Basically-
sort of, you know, the people were feeling confident or?
Basically, we actually.
But sir, at that time, sir, I still remember in 1 year the growth rate was 8.6%, if you remember.
Yes.
The highest what we achieved during those days.
Yes, in 1 year.
So
that
versus
was
what we are experiencing now.
GDP growth was highest at that time. But main thing is that you actually have to try and go and what should I say, do your best effort. And it is obviously it has to come right from the top. Now, my view was that there are 3 stakeholders and we have to try and actually look after them. One is the government, where we have to give them the revenue. The second is the taxpayers, and we have to facilitate them so that we are going to actually benefit. They will, if they grow and if they make more money, we are also
Yeah,
going to
because
get that
the bigger the pie, the better
benefit,
the share.
because we are supposed to be the shareholder, sleeping partner. Then I actually got onto our staff and I said that, okay, we are going to double your salary, which was an exceptional thing, but you have to also deliver. And
to achieve your
don't
targets.
have to actually have that kind of a reputation that you are having, that you are involved with all types of.
You also minimized people to people contact, sir.
Yeah, because that
Because
was
people got threatened during those days that, you know, with somebody,
Actually,
that inspector
was
for
that
the
was
revenue is
the
coming over.
Systematization through automation.
Automation, exactly.
Because now, if you remember that income tax officer, you had to go to him and give and take with him, and then he will issue the orders. But it was changed to the self-assessment scheme, and then you didn't have to go anywhere to anybody with anybody. And That was also
So it was a successful formula.
so
at the end of
that
the
is
day.
what I feel that we have to, going forward, that is something that we have to focus and concentrate as far as our effort on resource mobilization is concerned. That's a very, very major issue from our national point of view. We can't carry on with this type of fiscal deficit and the debts that we are creating.
But sir, the problem is that, for example, Shabar Zaidi Saab is a known man, he's a businessman, he is into textile manufacturing himself, he knows the people and he has the understanding, but sir, he couldn't deliver, sorry to say. And practically, I'm not sure whether he was getting, a lot of people within the FBR used to say that people have not accepted him as a boss and people do not cooperate with him. I mean, that was the basic problem he was going through, sir.
Yes, he unfortunately did face that problem, although he was actually trying his best, but he had the issues and he was actually not able to move forward. But then we have to also now see what else is actually required and possible to try and actually get this thing moving, and that is very, very important and necessary.
Going to be a tough task, but it's achievable, sir. Where there's a will, there is a way, as they say.
Absolutely.
But Dr. Saab, now there is a very interesting debate going on. So when we look at Bangladesh, I mean, there are certain brilliant models. For example, Grameen Bank formula. I think that was brilliant to empower women. I mean, you just can't make them hold placards and become empowered. You need to practically do something for them. Secondly, sir, look at their textile growth rate. I mean, brilliant products. They have mastered the art. I think in certain areas, they're better than even China. You pick up any product and you'll see made in Bangladesh, it's a designer product, top of the line quality, sir. And interestingly, forget about their overall growth rate. 16 to 18% growth rate in textile sector every year. This is what they're predicting this year. And I'm sure if we are getting some sort of a relief, they are getting some relief as well. And they must be capitalizing on that. It could be 22% growth in 1 year. You never know. But now, sir, since that market share has been taken away from Pakistan, don't you think high time for us to either opt for product diversification or opt for new markets or maybe a combo of both? Because sir, how long will we survive like this? I mean, depending on 20 to 22 to 23 billion dollars, your remittances are also getting less now because 35,000 jobs, most likely from Saudi Arabia and so on and so forth. So that is also going to be a very disturbing factor. We can't depend on the remittances only, sir. You need to have your own strength to export.
Yes, I agree with you. First, I think we have one of the worst trade policies. We have no trade in the region. For example, Bangladesh trade with India is about 9 to 10 billion, and it's all in India's favor, but it doesn't matter.
Even USA and India's trade is in India's favor.
They import all the raw materials, value add, export it. 9 billion imports, they value add, and they make it 3 times more, 27 billion exports, just in that. And then they have, 40 billion. That's one thing. And the world has changed, and we are still stuck in the 80s and 90s. We have the worst tariff, customs tariff, highest in the world. Because we believe that we should try to make everything here. It doesn't happen like that.
Yes.
You have to get into this global value chains. Every time we have custom duty, additional custom duty, regulatory duties, everything, and everything comes through smuggling. So, our policy we have to completely reform. I mean, one of the reasons that, when Abdullah Yusuf, the chairman, there was that previously there was some reforms. 2000, Sharif government came, 3 years, lot of reforms.
Economic reforms primarily.
Economy started growing very fast, and the revenue comes as a byproduct of that. Now, if the economy is growing 7-8%, then you get the revenue. But if the economy is just going 2%, 2.5%, there's no growth. So you won't get any revenues. So we have to have a completely different thinking than the current, the one we have now. It's individual can make a little bit of difference. At the top you were saying about Zaidi Saab, but nobody, because 3,300 we made the revenue that we raised last year, and we can't suddenly go up to 5.5 trillion. The target was completely off track, especially with this economy. So we have to be more realistic about our targets and about our policies. The current things, it will not work.
All right. So last quick comment. and then
Just
I'll wrap
I
up.
want to say some, our agriculture policy, specifically cotton was our main crop, and no, we are not giving any attention to
No,
that.
people
We
talk
are
about the best. I thought maybe
that's
the best
one of the main
cotton
reasons.
is
And cotton
produced
area
in Pakistan. It's not. It's in Egypt now.
no, particularly
They are value
Pakistan,
adding.
in cotton. No, we have in the cotton growing area, we are growing sugarcane, and we are exporting. No, we are importing cotton. We have not produced any good variety in there. So there's a lot
1.5
of
billion.
basic fundamental with the cotton crop itself. That's also
Then I
drastic.
totally agree with Dr. Saab, sir, that we need to revise our trade
Yeah.
policy and we need to see what is the trend in the globe, how it is moving, which are the sectors which are the cash cows or the stars for that matter. Deviate away from somewhere, where you do not have that edge anymore. Simple as that. So once upon a time we were great in squash and we were brilliant in hockey. We are not anymore. So one has to be realistic. Anyway, Dr. Saab, it was a pleasure. Abdul, thank you so much. Sir, it was a pleasure having you. And that's all we have for this hour. I'll see you inshallah tomorrow at 8. Till then, you take good care. Assalamu alaikum and Khuda Hafiz.